Bria Hartley just got instant karma, bro. She out for the season. I'm here to tell you the most dirtiest player in the WNBA contract has been written, bro. And I'm here to tell you she's out for the season. Yes, you heard me correctly. Yeah, man, Bria Hartley. So Connecticut PR has released a statement. Bria Hartley is to miss the remainder of the season.
Is going viral with Bria Hartley with the sinister grin, right? This malevolent look that's on her face right now. Clearly smiling after injuring Sophie Cunningham, man.
Come to 555, feel the music, the bass is thumping, lights are flashing, the crowd is jumping, energy's high, no time for
It all began with one fateful moment, a collision during a crucial play that left Sophie Cunningham clutching her knee, writhing in pain. She's known for her resilience, her grit, and her fearlessness on the court, and yet this time she wasn't able to bounce back. Immediately, the arena went silent. Trainers rushed in, players looked on in shock, and the atmosphere became tense with uncertainty. Fans feared the worst, and the reports confirmed it, a torn MCL. Sophie Cunningham, one of the WNBA's most beloved players, would be out for the rest of the season. But it wasn't just her injury that sent shockwaves through the league. It was the aftermath, the moment the cameras caught Bria Hartley. That split-second grin, a smirk, a laugh, whatever you want to call it, was instant fuel to an already volatile fire. The reaction was immediate. Was this a sign of unsportsmanlike behavior, or was it just a twisted perception? The answer would unfold rapidly. As the camera zoomed in on Bria Hartley, the viral moment of the season was born. Fans across the league immediately recognized the grimace on Hartley's face, believing it was a smirk in response to Cunningham's injury. Whether intentional or not, that split-second image sparked a controversy that would spiral into an avalanche of social media outrage. In a league already under scrutiny for its officiating and uneven treatment of players, this was the final straw. Fans quickly voiced their anger. Some accused Hartley of being a dirty player, while others defended her actions, calling it a simple basketball play. But for most, the image of that grin became the face of malice. The moment Cunningham fell, Bria's facial expression left an indelible mark. The question became, could this be seen as karma coming full circle? Sophie Cunningham had suffered one of the toughest injuries of her career, and the moment Bria Hartley, seemingly unaffected, laughed in the aftermath, fans couldn't help but wonder, was this simply a coincidence, or did fate have a twisted sense of humor? As the narrative around Bria Hartley escalated, the floodgates opened. Social media was flooded with comments, hashtags calling for her suspension, and fans debating her intentions. Critics went into overdrive, but it wasn't just about the incident with Sophie Cunningham. Hartley's track record with other players, like a scuffle earlier in the season with Angel Reese, only added fuel to the fire. The pattern of Hartley being at the center of controversial plays was becoming too evident to ignore. Fans recalled earlier moments in the season, like when Hartley was seen pulling at Reese's hair in a heated exchange. This wasn't just a one-time incident, it was part of a larger reputation Hartley had built, and that reputation was now under attack. What began as an injury turned into narratives of dirty play. Social media accounts posted footage of past scuffles, calling attention to how Hartley had been involved in multiple questionable moments. Was she a player just caught in a bad situation? Or was there a clear and ongoing pattern of behavior that deserved to be addressed by the league? In the court of public opinion, Hartley had already been convicted. The question on everyone's mind was whether Bria Hartley's injury was the result of karma, or simply an unfortunate coincidence. Some fans rushed to celebrate what they saw as poetic justice, the universe delivering a lesson to Hartley, especially after her perceived unsporting behavior towards Sophie Cunningham. It was almost as if the basketball gods had decided to balance the scales, but not everyone saw it that way. For others, it was just another chapter in the sport's brutal realities. Players get injured, they get hurt on the court. It's part of the game. Yet, the timing of it all made it feel like more than that. Sophie Cunningham had just suffered a torn MCL, and just days later, Hartley found herself sidelined with a similar knee injury. Was it coincidence? Maybe. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, this injury became symbolic of a much larger issue: the lack of protection for players and the frustrating inconsistency in how some were treated versus others. Fans weren't just concerned with whether Hartley was guilty of dirty play. They wanted to understand why these patterns kept emerging in the WNBA. They started to ask themselves, could this injury have been avoided? Could the league have done more to protect its athletes, especially given the history of injuries this season? The question of karma soon became less about the individual players and more about the league's accountability in managing its players' safety and maintaining fairness. As fans continued to dissect the sequence of events, one question loomed large: is the WNBA doing enough to protect its players? In an era where athletes are under constant scrutiny, it's no surprise that fans would question the lack of action when it comes to player safety and inconsistent officiating. Hartley's injury wasn't the first, and it certainly wouldn't be the last, but it highlighted a pattern of neglect that the league seemed unable or unwilling to address. Despite the ongoing conversation about injury prevention, fatigue, and the physicality of the game, the WNBA has yet to implement any comprehensive solutions. Officiating, in particular, remains a point of contention. Fans watched as questionable calls became a regular part of the league's narrative, with officials failing to protect the players properly during hard fouls or reckless collisions. This inconsistency wasn't just about missed calls, it was about how the league managed these situations. Why were players like Sophie Cunningham penalized for calling out poor officiating, while those who engaged in more violent and unsportsmanlike behavior faced minimal consequences? The question wasn't just whether the players' safety was a priority, it was whether fans' faith in the integrity of the game would continue to hold up in the face of these growing issues. Could the league continue to ignore the systemic flaws in its structure, or was it finally time for real change? With more and more injuries piling up, the fans began to wonder, how long could this go on before the WNBA's culture would implode under the weight of its own neglect? The timing of Bria Hartley's injury sparked a media frenzy. The fans weren't just celebrating the irony of her downfall, they were feeling vindicated. Social media exploded with memes, posts, and hashtags such as #PoeticJustice, celebrating the karma they believed had struck Hartley down for her past actions. In an era where social media can dictate a player's reputation as much as their performance, Hartley's injury wasn't seen as an unfortunate twist of fate. It became the final chapter in a long-running saga of questionable actions. But this instant karma narrative was more than just an emotional reaction. It was a reflection of how the public consumes sports in the modern age. In a world where everything is broadcasted and dissected in real time, players are no longer just judged on their performances. The moments that go viral, the moments that stir the pot, become the defining stories. And for Bria Hartley, that infamous image of her grinning after Sophie Cunningham's injury would stay with her forever. Fans were no longer talking about the game itself, they were talking about the character of the players, their motives, and their morals. Hartley's response to all this? She didn't back down. Her defiant attitude, her F around and find out post, only stoked the flames. Instead of offering an apology or showing remorse, she doubled down, solidifying her image as the villain in this narrative. Fans saw this as proof that Hartley was playing the role of the antagonist in this saga, intentionally embracing the controversy that surrounded her. But for many, this only added fuel to the fire. Was Hartley becoming the face of everything that was wrong with the league? As the drama between Sophie Cunningham and Bria Hartley unfolded, it became clear that this was no longer just about two players facing off after a controversial moment. What started as a specific issue with a physical collision soon transformed into a larger reflection of the WNBA's culture and integrity. This wasn't just about one player injuring another or one fan base defending their team. This was a battle that encapsulated the bigger problems the league faces when it comes to accountability, transparency, and player safety. For years, officiating issues have been one of the most controversial and disruptive topics in professional sports. But in the WNBA, where the stakes are high and scrutiny intense, the league's inability to address consistent officiating failures is an open wound that refuses to heal. Fans and players alike have consistently raised concerns about the inequities in how players are treated, particularly when it comes to physicality and fouls on the court. The collision between Cunningham and Hartley wasn't an isolated incident, it was a microcosm of a broader issue. This was one of many such moments where fans felt that the referees failed to protect the players properly. In the aftermath of the collision, the reaction from the WNBA and its officials was telling. Fans were left with the impression that players like Sophie Cunningham, who are vocal about poor officiating, are punished, even fined for criticizing the system. In contrast, players who engage in questionable or aggressive behavior seem to walk away with little to no consequence. And when you look at Bria Hartley's history, this feeling of inconsistency becomes even more pronounced. Fans started to question, why does the league tolerate these actions while penalizing those who speak out? And this isn't just about a single incident. It's about the accumulation of moments that have damaged the league's credibility. From the lack of consistency in officiating to poor decisions that affect players' safety, there's a growing perception that the WNBA is more concerned with protecting its image than with making the necessary changes to improve the game. The fact that Hartley wasn't punished for multiple instances of questionable conduct on the court only deepens the rift between the league's management and its players. It becomes hard to ignore the double standards in place. The perception that superstars like Caitlin Clark are given preferential treatment, while other players are subjected to harsher scrutiny for far less. The bigger issue, however, lies in the WNBA's response to criticism. This moment, where a controversial player like Hartley faces little more than a fine line for past conduct, while players like Sophie Cunningham are penalized for simply calling out bad refereeing, has exposed the underlying hypocrisy in the league. The message that is being sent is clear: speak out and you pay the price. But if you're a player who causes injury or acts recklessly on the court, you won't be held accountable. This is where the league's integrity is at stake. Fans have begun to distrust the WNBA's commitment to fairness and player protection. In a time when the league is trying to expand its viewership and make a greater impact, these issues can't continue to go unaddressed. The WNBA needs to take a hard look at how its policies and decision-making are perceived. Are they upholding the values of fairness, or are they allowing select players and situations to tarnish the league's reputation? Beyond the immediate fallout, there are larger implications for the league's future. The WNBA has been gaining momentum, especially with players like Caitlin Clark raising the profile of the sport. But that momentum is fragile, and it can be derailed quickly if fans and players feel like the league doesn't care enough about the game's integrity. In this age of social media, where narratives move faster than ever, the WNBA can't afford to continue with lackluster responses to these issues. They need to step up and prove to the world that they value fairness, consistency, and player safety, not just the money and attention that come with big-name stars. This situation could have been a turning point for the league, where the WNBA chose to reset and reaffirm its commitment to creating a level playing field for all players. However, instead of taking actionable steps to correct the culture of inconsistent officiating and player protection, the league allowed the narrative to be driven by viral moments and internet gossip. Fans now feel that the WNBA is more focused on controlling its image and protecting its top players than fixing the systemic problems that affect the entire league. Ultimately, the question remains: will the WNBA take real action to protect its players and maintain its credibility, or will they continue to let issues like this fester and erode the public's trust in the league? The events surrounding Sophie Cunningham's injury and Bria Hartley's subsequent downfall have sparked a much-needed conversation. But unless there are real reforms and changes, the WNBA will find itself stuck in a never-ending cycle of controversy and disappointment.